The punishment mission. Zira stood silently inside the dark ship, staring at the blue and green planet on the screen. Earth. The name sounded harmless, even soft. But every Valorian knew the truth. Earth was a death world. The most dangerous planet in the known galaxy. Beside her stood Lunari, her closest companion and the only other alien sent on this mission. Both of them wore silver armor with the mark of punishment, an X across their shoulders. It was a public shame in their empire. But Zira didn't care anymore. She only felt anger. "This is all your fault," Zira whispered. Lunari turned to her calmly. "No, we both disobeyed. We saved the child, remember?" Zira clenched her fists. "We were supposed to let the ambassador die, that's the law. But letting an innocent child die?" Lunari shook her head. "That's not who I am." The ship shook as it entered Earth's atmosphere. Flames covered the windows for a moment. Alarms beeped. Zira took a deep breath. "Get ready. Earth is not like our home." The ship crashed through clouds and finally landed deep in a thick green forest. Trees taller than buildings surrounded them. The air was heavy and wet. Birds screamed in the distance. Zira stepped out first. The moment her boots touched the soft ground, she felt it. Earth was alive and dangerous. Lunari scanned the area with a small device. No cities nearby, just wild life form, and one small human signal moving fast. Zira raised her weapon. "We stay hidden. No contact." But fate had different plans. Suddenly, something cracked in the trees. Both girls turned. A wild animal, a hunter? They raised their arms, ready to fire. But it was a human. He stood still, holding something in his hands. He looked young, maybe 20 Earth years. Brown hair, calm eyes, and no fear on his face. He was carrying a fishing pole and a loaf of bread. Zira blinked in shock. "He's alone." Lunari lowered her weapon just a little. "He doesn't even look scared." The human looked at them and slowly held out the bread. "Are you hungry?" Neither of them responded. Then Zira's stomach growled, loudly. The human smiled and broke the bread in half. He tossed one piece gently toward them and said, "I'm Daniel." Zira didn't move. She stared at the bread on the ground like it was a trap. But Lunari bent down and picked it up. She took a small bite. Her eyes widened. "Zira, it's real. It's food. And it's good," Zira hissed quietly. "We can't trust him. He's human." "Then why is he helping us?" Lunari asked. Zira didn't answer. She didn't have an answer. Daniel stepped back slowly. "You can stay here if you want. It's safe. I have a small cabin nearby. Just follow the river." He pointed toward the sound of water and then walked away. The two girls stood in silence. Zira finally turned to Lunari. "We follow him, just to watch, not to trust." They moved carefully, staying behind trees. But as they followed the river, Zira noticed something strange. Earth was not trying to kill them. The animals stayed away. The air was clean. The water was cold and clear. After a few minutes, they reached a small wooden cabin near the edge of the forest. Daniel was already starting a fire outside. He placed a pot on top with more food inside. He didn't look back, but he spoke clearly. "You're still following me." Zira froze. Daniel smiled. "I told you, it's okay. I don't know who you are or where you're from, but I'm not going to hurt you." Lunari stepped out from behind the tree. "Why? Why are you helping us?" Daniel looked up. "Because you look lost and scared, and I've been there too." Zira stepped out slowly, her hand still near her weapon. "We are not scared." Daniel raised his hands. "Okay, not scared, just hungry and tired." The fire cracked gently in the silence. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Zira said softly, "We are not from this planet." Daniel looked at her and nodded. "Yeah, I guessed that. You're not afraid? Lunari asked. No. He shrugged. I've seen worse. Zira didn't believe him. Earth was supposed to be deadly, full of violent humans, but this one offered them food and warmth. It made no sense. Inside her chest, Zira felt something strange. A flutter. A feeling she didn't recognize. She looked at Daniel and whispered to herself, "What kind of human is this?" First contact. The human. With kind eyes, the night was cold. The stars above Earth were brighter than the ones Zira and Lunari had seen from their warships, but instead of feeling power under those stars, they felt small. Daniel's fire cracked quietly. He didn't ask questions. He didn't stare. He just placed 2 blankets near the fire and sat on a log, carving a piece of wood in his hands. Zira stood in the shadows, arms crossed, eyes sharp. Lunari sat closer, hands open to the fire. "I don't understand this human," Zira whispered to Lunari in their native tongue. "He offered food, warmth, and now safety," Lunari replied softly. "He hasn't asked for anything." "That's what worries me." Daniel suddenly spoke without looking up. "You two have names?" Zira froze. No one from Earth should understand their language. But Daniel had asked in English. Lunari replied first. "I'm Lunari." Zira hesitated, then answered, "Zira." Daniel looked up for the first time. His eyes weren't sharp. They were tired, but kind. "Well, Zira and Lunari," he said, standing up, "this planet isn't always friendly. But I've seen worse days than this." Zira narrowed her eyes. "You say that like you've seen war." "I have." Daniel looked toward the fire. "Lost my family in one. Earth's not peaceful." Lunari's expression softened. "Then why help us? We could be enemies." Daniel turned to her with a quiet smile. "Or you could be someone who just needed help." Zira couldn't stop staring at him. Her training told her to be suspicious. But this human, he confused her. He didn't act like the others her empire had shown in training. No aggression, no greed, just silence. And kindness. "Come," Daniel said, pointing to the cabin. "There's more food inside. I'll show you how to heat it." Lunari stood. Zira grabbed her arm. "You trust him too easily?" "No," Lunari said. "I just think maybe we've been lied to about humans." Inside the small wooden cabin, everything was strange. There were metal tools, wooden shelves, strange machines, and old pictures hanging on the wall. Zira walked past a photo of Daniel and an older woman. "Your mother?" she asked. Daniel nodded. "She passed away 2 winters ago. This place was hers." Zira looked away. "Loss is part of war." Daniel replied quietly, "Loss is part of life." The words struck something inside Zira. No one in the Valorian Empire spoke like that. Loss was weakness, pain was hidden, but this human carried it with honesty. As Lunari ate quietly at the table, Zira walked toward a large glass window. Outside, the forest was glowing under the moonlight. "It's beautiful," she said. Daniel joined her. "Sometimes Earth can surprise you." Zira didn't know why, but she asked, "Why aren't you afraid of us?" Daniel smiled. "Because the last time I was afraid, when it nearly killed me. I was in the army. We were told the enemy was monsters. But when I met them, they were just people. Like me. Scared. Angry. Lost." Zira felt her throat tighten. She had never heard a soldier speak like this. "We were sent here as punishment," Lunari said suddenly. Daniel turned to her. "Punishment?" Zira answered coldly. "We disobeyed an order. We showed mercy." Daniel nodded slowly. "Then maybe that punishment brought you to the right place." Silence fell again. Suddenly, a light on Zira's wrist device blinked red. Her heart stopped. She turned away and activated a private screen. A message appeared. "Empire monitoring." Emotion levels detected. High, prepare for extraction. Zyra froze. If the Empire thought they were growing soft, they'd come for them, wipe their minds, reprogram them, or worse, execute them. She closed the device quickly and turned to Lunari. We're being watched, she whispered. They're tracking our feelings. Lunari's face went pale. They'll come for us. Daniel, watching their change in expressions, stepped closer. What's wrong? Zyra looked into his eyes, deep, kind, understanding, and for the first time she broke a rule. She told a human the truth. Our people don't allow love, or trust, or friendship. We were trained to be perfect, empty. But now, being here, around you, we're changing. Daniel stepped closer, gently. Then stay, change is good, you don't have to go back. But they'll come, Lunari said. The Empire doesn't forgive weakness. Daniel looked at both of them. Then let me help you hide. Zyra blinked. Why? He smiled. Because no one helped me when I needed it. I won't make that mistake again. Zyra looked at Lunari. For the first time, she didn't feel like a soldier, she felt like someone worth saving. The campfire questions, the fire crackled quietly as stars blinked overhead. Tall trees surrounded Daniel's cabin like silent watchers. The night felt peaceful, but inside Zyra's mind, a war had already begun. She sat with her arms wrapped around her knees just outside the cabin, staring into the flames. Lunari sat beside her, slowly eating the warm stew Daniel had prepared. For once, neither of them felt like soldiers, just strangers under an open sky. Daniel was nearby, tossing small pieces of wood into the fire. He wasn't asking questions. He just let the silence breathe, but Zyra couldn't hold it anymore. Why do humans build fire? She asked. Daniel looked up. To cook food, for warmth, to survive the cold. Zyra narrowed her eyes. So simple. Sometimes, he said, smiling, the simplest things keep you alive. Lunari looked into the flames, then whispered, On our planet there is no fire. Only light from machines, everything is cold, steel, glass, and rules. Daniel leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. So why did your people send you here? Zyra looked away. We broke the rules. What rules? No mercy, no feelings, no saving lives unless ordered. Her voice turned bitter. We saved a child. That was our crime. Daniel didn't answer right away. He just stared into the fire. Then after a moment he said quietly, Sometimes, rules are made by cowards pretending to be brave. Zyra's head snapped toward him. What do you mean? I mean, I've seen men obey orders that killed thousands. And when they were asked why, they just said, We followed commands. Daniel's voice was calm, but his eyes were burning. Sometimes doing the right thing means breaking the wrong rules. The fire popped loudly. Zyra felt something twist inside her. No one had ever said such words on her homeworld, not without getting erased. Lunari whispered, Do you think we did the right thing? Daniel looked at her softly. You saved someone. That's always right. For a moment there was silence again. Then Zyra asked, Why do humans take risks for people they don't know? Daniel picked up a stick and started drawing shapes in the dirt. Because we know what it feels like to be alone, to be forgotten. And when you help someone else, maybe you don't feel so lost anymore. He looked up. You don't have to be from Earth to understand pain or to want peace. Lunari smiled gently, something she rarely did. Maybe that's what the Empire fears. Connection. Zyra slowly reached out, touching the warm surface of a small stone near the fire. On our planet, even touching like this could get you punished. Daniel nodded. You were trained to be machines. Zyra looked at him sharply. And yet here I am, sitting beside a human, sharing food, talking. She leaned closer. Tell me something. What do humans fear the most? Daniel's answer was immediate. losing the people they love. Zyra flinched as if struck. "We are forbidden to love," she said. "They say love makes you weak." Daniel shook his head. "No, it makes you stronger. Because when you love someone, you fight harder. You survive longer. You find a reason." The flames danced in Zyra's eyes. Her breath felt heavy. But what if love brings pain? Daniel looked into her eyes. Then it was still worth it. A gust of wind blew through the trees. Zyra turned her head away, afraid he might see the small shimmer in her eyes. Lunari suddenly sat up straight. Her scanner beeped. She checked it under the blanket and whispered, "Zyra." Zyra leaned over. The screen read, "Drone detected. 1.2 km away. Scanning emotional data." Zyra's heart raced. "They're close." Daniel stood immediately. "What's wrong?" Zyra didn't hide it this time. "A drone from our empire. It's reading us. If it confirms we've changed, it will report us." Daniel didn't hesitate. "Then we run. I know these woods." "No," Zyra said. "It's already seen too much." Lunari stepped forward. "There's one option. We destroy it before it transmits." Daniel grabbed a flashlight and nodded. "Then let's hunt it before it hunts you." Zyra stared at him in disbelief. "You would fight a galactic drone for us?" Daniel smirked. "You saved a child. I'm just returning the favor." For the first time, Zyra smiled. But inside her, something deeper was changing. This wasn't a mission anymore. This was the beginning of something forbidden, something powerful, something the Empire could never allow. Emotions are dangerous. The forest was silent, but Zyra's heart beat like a drum inside her chest. The drone was close. Each step she took with Daniel and Lunari was careful. No broken branches, no noise. The scanner on Lunari's wrist flashed red. The Empire's eye was watching just above the trees, invisible but deadly. "If it scans us long enough," Lunari whispered, "it will confirm everything and send the report." Zyra knew what that meant. If the drone sent proof they had, formed an emotional bond with a human, they wouldn't just be punished, they would be erased. Memories gone, minds rewritten, feelings deleted like a virus. She grabbed Daniel's shoulder. "You still have time to run." But Daniel shook his head. "I'm not running." Zyra looked into his eyes, no fear, no doubt. This human, soft-spoken, kind and brave, was ready to risk his life for them. Why? She didn't know the answer. But it made her feel something sharp and warm inside, something dangerous. The scanner beeped faster. "There," Lunari pointed. Through the trees, a blinking blue light hovered in the air. Small, silent, and deadly. A Valorian recon drone, its lens focused downward. It was reading their emotional output. "It's locking on," Zyra whispered. Daniel glanced at the machine. "If I shoot it, will it explode?" "No," Lunari said. "But it'll trigger backup to search the area." Zyra made her decision. "I'll climb the ridge. It won't expect an attack from above." Daniel stepped forward. "I'll go with you." "No," Zyra said. "If anything happens to me, you and Lunari must run. Do not look back." Daniel didn't agree, but he nodded. Zyra moved fast and silent, climbing the rocks above the drone. Her training kicked in. Every muscle moved like memory. Her eyes locked on the drone's glowing core. She jumped. With one swift motion, she slammed her blade into its side. Sparks flew. The drone shrieked in machine language. She stabbed again, deep, and the lights died. Zyra landed hard, rolling in the dirt. The forest went silent again. Lunari and Daniel rushed to her. "You're hurt," Daniel said, kneeling beside her. "It's just a scratch," Zyra whispered. But it wasn't. Blood ran from her side. A piece of metal had sliced into her ribs. Daniel pressed a cloth to the wound. Zyra looked at him, her face pale. "Why do you care so much?" "I'm not even human." Daniel's hands didn't stop. "Because it doesn't matter where you're from. You're bleeding, you're alive, you're real." Zira closed her eyes. No one in her world had ever said something like that. She was trained to be a weapon, a perfect soldier, nothing more. Now, someone saw her as something more. Lunari knelt beside them, her voice tight. "We need to hide. The drone may have sent a ping before it died." Daniel helped Zira to her feet. "Come on. My cabin has a cellar. We can stay underground." As they moved through the trees, Zira's legs shook. Pain burned through her body, but something else burned brighter. Fear, not of dying, but of what was happening inside her heart. Inside the cabin, Daniel carefully helped her lie down. He cleaned the wound with warm water and wrapped it in clean cloth. Zira stared at him in silence. "You should hate me," she said quietly. "Your kind should hate us. We were trained to destroy you." Daniel looked at her. "But you didn't. You chose to save instead of destroy. That choice makes you more human than some humans I know." Zira blinked. Her throat tightened. "If the Empire come, they'll wipe me. I'll forget everything. You, this place, this feeling." Daniel took her hand gently. "Then we won't let them find you." Zira didn't pull away. Outside, the night deepened. Inside, something even stronger grew between them, something forbidden, something pure. Lunari watched quietly. A small smile touched her lips, then her scanner blinked again. A final warning. Empire alert. Hunter ship approaching Earth. Time to arrival, 17 hours. Her breath caught in her throat. Zira looked at her. "They're coming, aren't they?" Lunari nodded. "And they're not coming to ask questions." Daniel stood. "Then we have 17 hours to disappear." Zira closed her eyes. She didn't want to forget. Not this. Not him. For the first time in her life, Zira was afraid. Not of war, not of death, but of losing herself. Human touch. The sun rose slowly over the forest, casting golden light across the trees. But inside Daniel's cabin, the mood was dark and heavy. Zira lay on a small bed, her wound freshly cleaned and wrapped. Her breathing was slower now. The bleeding had stopped. But her mind was spinning. 17 hours. That's all they had before the Empire's hunter ship arrived. 17 hours before everything changed. Or ended. Daniel stood by the window, staring out into the woods. His face was calm, but his fingers were twitching. He was thinking, planning, every second counted. Lunari sat beside Zira. "How do you feel?" "Like fire is inside me," Zira muttered. "But it's not just the wound." She looked down at her hand. Daniel had touched it, gently, without fear. His warmth still lingered on her skin. She had trained all her life to fear emotions, but now she wanted more of them, and that was dangerous. Daniel turned around. "We have a problem." "What is it?" Lunari asked. "I found tracks near the edge of the river," he said. "Not animals, boots, heavy ones. Someone else's. Out there." Zira's heart sank. "The Empire." "Could be. Could also be a local search team." "I don't know." Lunari stood. "If they find us, we disappear," Daniel interrupted. "I've survived worse. There's an old military tunnel not far from here. Hidden. Abandoned. No signals go in or out." Zira struggled to sit up. "Then we go now." "No," Daniel said firmly. "You can barely walk." Zira looked him in the eye. "I won't sit and wait to be erased." Daniel walked over and knelt beside her. His voice softened. "Then let me help you. Please." He reached out slowly. Zira hesitated. For a soldier of the Valorian Empire, accepting help was weakness. But something deep inside her, something new, something warm, told her to trust him. She took his hand. His touch was steady, strong, real. In that moment, Zira didn't feel like a weapon anymore. She felt human. Daniel helped her stand. She leaned on him. For the first time, she allowed herself to rest her head on someone's shoulder. Lunari watched quietly. A smile touched her lips. "You're not just healing her body," Lunari said softly. "You're healing something more." Daniel looked at Zyra. She's not the only one being changed. They moved carefully through the trees, avoiding open ground. Daniel knew the forest like a map inside his head. Every step was precise, every path chosen for cover. Zyra stayed close to him, not because she was weak, but because something about being near Daniel made her feel stronger. After an hour of walking, they reached a rocky hill with a narrow cave opening. "This way," Daniel said, lifting a few vines. Inside was darkness, but also safety. The tunnel stretched deep under the earth. Zyra shivered. Not from cold, but from the silence. It felt like a grave. "Will they find us here?" she asked. "Only if they know the old war codes," Daniel replied. "And I doubt your empire cares about human tunnels." Inside the tunnel, Daniel set up a small lamp. Its soft glow lit up their tired faces. Zyra sat down slowly, pressing her back to the wall. Daniel sat beside her. Neither spoke for a while. Then she said, "Back on my planet, we are trained from birth to serve. No dreams, no families, just orders." Daniel looked at her. "You deserve better than that." Zyra's voice was soft. "This is the first time anyone ever said that to me." Daniel gently took her hand again. Zyra didn't pull away. "Your hands," she whispered. "They feel safe." Daniel smiled. "And yours feel real. Not like someone made in a lab or shaped by rules. Just real." Lunari spoke from across the tunnel. "We should rest in shifts. I'll keep first watch." Zyra and Daniel stayed side by side. Then Zyra asked, "What happens if they find us anyway?" Daniel didn't answer at first. Then he looked at her, his voice steady. "Then I'll fight to protect you, even if I die doing it." Zyra's breath caught in her throat. No one had ever said such words to her, not even her closest comrades. She turned her head, resting it against his shoulder. "You're not like any human they told us about." Daniel chuckled. "And you're not like any alien I imagined." Their fingers remained locked together in the dim light. But far above, in the skies beyond the forest, the Empire's hunter ship entered Earth's atmosphere. And this time, it wasn't alone. Love against the Empire. The sky above Earth cracked open with silent fire. Invisible to human satellites, a massive Valorian hunter ship entered low orbit. Smooth, black, and silent. It looked like a blade floating in the clouds. Its mission was clear: retrieve the two punished soldiers, or erase them. Inside the Earth tunnel, Zyra couldn't sleep. The silence was too loud, the darkness too deep, and the feeling in her chest too powerful. She turned her head slightly. Daniel was sitting across from her, resting with his back against the stone wall, eyes closed but awake. His hand still held hers. She whispered, "They're close, I can feel it." Daniel opened his eyes. "Then we fight." Zyra shook her head. "They'll come with energy weapons, drones, cloaked soldiers. You're only human." "And you're not?" he asked softly. She stared at him. He continued, "You feel pain, you cry, you bleed, you care. That's more human than most people." "I've met." Zyra looked away. "If they catch us, they'll wipe my memories. I won't remember you. I won't remember this." Daniel's grip tightened. "Then I'll make sure they don't get the chance." Suddenly, Lunari's scanner lit up red. "They've landed." Zyra stood. "Where?" "North Ridge. 2 clicks away, moving fast. Small team. Elite hunters." Daniel stood too, eyes focused. "We move now." "No," Zyra said. "They're not after you. They're after us." Lunari looked at Zyra. "Then we split up. Daniel leads them away. You and I take the side route." Zyra turned sharply. "No, I'm not leaving him." Daniel blinked. Lunari raised her brow. You love him? Zyra froze. The word dropped like a thunderclap. Love. She had no training for this emotion, no shield to block it, no command to suppress it. But it was true. Zyra met Daniel's eyes. Yes, I love him. Daniel stepped closer. Then we stay. Together. Lunari gave a soft smile. Then we all fight. Together. They climbed out of the tunnel, staying low beneath trees. The forest was no longer peaceful. It was a war zone waiting to ignite. Zyra activated her neural implant. I can hear them. Voices? Daniel asked. Commands, she said. They know where we are. Suddenly, boom. A tree ahead exploded in fire. Smoke filled the air. Run, Daniel shouted. They sprinted through the trees as energy blasts ripped through the branches. Valorian hunters, tall and silver-armored, moved like ghosts between shadows. Lunari fired back with Daniel's stolen rifle. Zyra tackled one attacker with a blade, slicing through armor like paper. Daniel threw smoke grenades and grabbed Zyra's hand, pulling her behind a fallen tree. Zyra was bleeding again, but still fighting. They won't stop, she gasped. Daniel touched her cheek. Then neither will I. Another blast threw them backward. Zyra hit the ground hard. A shadow fell over her. A hunter raised his arm, ready to strike. Bam! The shot came from behind. The hunter dropped. Daniel stood there, holding the gun with both hands, chest heaving. Zyra stared at him in disbelief. He saved her life. Again. Lunari ran over. More are coming. Dozens. Zyra struggled to stand. They won't stop until we're gone, or dead. Daniel grabbed Zyra's face gently. Then listen. There's an escape route. An old hidden launch pod from Earth's Cold War. It's buried nearby. Zyra blinked. You're not coming? I'll distract them, Daniel said. No. She shook her head. They'll kill you. He leaned in, resting his forehead against hers. If they wipe you, you'll forget me anyway, but if you live, really live, then maybe we both win. A tear rolled down Zyra's cheek. I don't want to forget. Daniel smiled softly. Then fight to remember. Lunari pulled her gently. We have to go. Zyra stared at Daniel. Her heart burned with something brighter than pain. She kissed him, softly, quickly, then turned and ran. As the trees swallowed her and Lunari, Daniel turned to face the coming storm. He raised the rifle again. Behind him, the hunter ship roared in the sky. Ahead of him, war, but in his chest, love stronger than fear. Earth is home. Now the sky was on fire. Flames lit up the northern ridge as explosions echoed through the trees. The Valorian hunter ship hovered above, scanning, searching, hunting. But Daniel was no longer there. Zyra and Lunari had made it to the old bunker hidden beneath the rocks. The ancient human launch pod, rusted, half-buried, was barely functional. But Lunari, with her skill and Zyra's support, powered it just enough to escape the scanners. Now inside the bunker, Zyra sat quietly. Her body still ached. Her uniform was torn. Her sides still bled. But that wasn't why her heart hurt. She stared at the scanner, hoping for a signal, but there was only silence. Lunari returned from outside, her face tired and dirty. No drones. No ships. The Empire is gone. Zyra didn't react. Her eyes stayed on the screen. They think we're dead, Lunari added. The ship took off 3 hours ago. No further scans detected. We're free. Zyra finally spoke. What about him? Lunari didn't answer. Zyra stood slowly. He saved us. Gave up everything. He said he'd make sure I remembered. Her fingers brushed against the side of her head, her neural implant. Still intact. Still hers. I will remember, she whispered. Suddenly, a beep. Zyra and Lunari froze. The scanner blinked. One signal detected human life form. Vital signs stable location, South Valley. Zira gasped. It's him. Without waiting, she ran outside. The wind blew through the trees as she sprinted downhill, ignoring the pain. Each step was faster than the last, and then she saw him. Daniel, limping, bloody, bruised, but alive. He was dragging his leg and holding his ribs. But when he saw her, he smiled. Zira ran to him arms wide and crashed into his chest. "You're alive," she breathed, hugging him tightly. Daniel chuckled weakly. "Barely. You ran fast." "You idiot," she whispered, pressing her forehead to his. "You could have died." "Worth it," he said, "if it meant you'd be free." Zira pulled back. "I told you I didn't want to forget." "You didn't?" She shook her head. "Not a second." Lunari arrived behind them, smiling. "Well then, I guess we all get a second chance." Daniel looked around. "So what now? They'll come again someday." Zira stood tall. "Let them. We'll be ready. We're not soldiers anymore. We're survivors." Daniel looked at her with pride. "You're more than that. You're free." Together they returned to the hidden valley, a place untouched by scanners, satellites, or soldiers. They built a new home, not of steel, but of wood and laughter. Zira planted flowers outside. She didn't even know their names, but she liked how they looked in the sunlight. Lunari studied human books, especially the ones with poetry. And Daniel. He cooked strange meals that made them both laugh. They still had scars, still had nightmares, but they also had each other. One evening, as stars filled the sky, Zira sat beside Daniel near a small fire. She looked up. "They sent me to Earth as punishment," she said. Daniel smiled. "And?" She turned to him, her eyes soft, glowing in the firelight. "And Earth gave me something my planet never could." He leaned closer. "Love?" She nodded. "And choice." She placed her hand in his. "No matter what galaxy says, this is home now." Above them, the stars blinked quietly. No ships, no orders, no fear. Just a girl from another world. A human who refused to give up. And a love that even the Empire couldn't erase.